Hi folks, happy Wednesday and welcome to Ask Evelyn Live. I am your host, Becca Fong, and I am so excited to bring you this fantastic weekly show where we answer all of your questions about garbage, recycling, compost, and other trashy topics. So I'm super excited that you guys are here today. Tomorrow is Earth Day, so we're going to bring you a slightly different kind of show this week where we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to help celebrate Earth Day every day. So remember, this show, even though we're taking a little bit of a break from answering questions this week, please send them to us. We love hearing from you. You can send questions to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or the old school way at askevelyn@seattle.gov. So we are really excited. It's great to hear questions from you guys all of the time. So my co-host is joining me. I'm going to wait for him. But while we wait for him to get online here, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Earth Day and what it means. You know, it is the 51st anniversary of Earth Day and actually the genesis of this show a year ago. So we wanted to figure out a way to celebrate Earth Day last year in April. And so we decided we would bring the show to you with some, interesting tips and tricks. So the one thing about Earth Day is that, it's great to commemorate the earth and really focus on things one day a year. We really try to promote thinking about it, not just that one day a year, but doing it every day. Because really what we're trying to work on is we're trying to mitigate the effects of climate change. This is such a huge undertaking, and it is going to take all of us to do this. And so all of us making small changes every day, doing those together is really what's going to add up and really make a big difference. So there's the collective impact of it, and also the practice of just consciously thinking about some of the things that we do, we consume, how we move through our daily lives, and how those impact the others around us, the environment, the earth, the climate. All of those things are incredibly important. And, this past year, people, I know it has been a tough one. And if it has taught us anything, it has taught us that we are all connected to each other and that we can undertake huge changes that we never thought were going to be before. So it's a really important thing. And so I think we're going to keep waiting for Pat to join us, which will be great when he gets to us. But what I wanted to talk about really quickly, it's really super overwhelming to think about all of the things that you could possibly do to help mitigate climate change. It's such a big undertaking. There's so many things to think about. We're going to get Pat. He's joining us here in a second. So let's get him logged on. Hi, Pat.
Hey, better late than never, I hope.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just getting into kind of the four main topics to round things up for folks about, how to really how to break off a manageable chunk of, doing things every day that will help mitigate climate change, right?
Absolutely.
And there's a way to focus on it. So four main categories, and, Pat, you and I are going to jump into these a little more in detail. There's buying less stuff. That's my exit line every week.
Absolutely.
It's an important thing. Conscious consumption.
That's right.
Is another one. And, what are our other categories, Pat? We got two more.
We talk about recycling and composting right. Like making sure you're doing it right, folks. Do it, but do it right. And then advocacy, really trying to use your voice, use the time that you have available to it to advocate for these, responsible, resource conservation oriented, actions and ideas. So yeah,
absolutely.
Those are some of them.
All right. So we're going to get into some of the details of what these mean. So let's start with buying less stuff. I mean, I tell you, I leave you guys every week with, life's simpler with less stuff. It is an aspiration for sure. There's a lot of stuff in my life and I would love it to be simpler. It's kind of a good reminder for me every week. One thing that I wanted to kind of get into was fixing things. So really focusing on repairing stuff, whatever that is. Pat, you've shared darning your socks. I've talked about patching things. But one thing that can be a little bit more complicated, but is a really, really good impact that you can do is I replaced the battery on my iPhone. So
and that's a big one. That's a lot. There's a lot of, inherent, carbon footprint stuff in cell phones and some of these electronics. So fixing it, giving it longer life, that's a huge one.
Absolutely. I mean, I honestly contemplated buying a new phone. It's expensive. There's a lot of impact that goes into the production of electronics. And also I was able to support a small business. And quite honestly, it cost me $60 to get a new battery put in. Took me 20 minutes and bam, my phone is like good to go. So that's one really good thing to do. So
that's a good one.
And another thing that you are actually really, really good at is ditching disposable. So
yeah, you know, the single use is the challenge. There's so much single use, from packaging to just products, wipes, things that, you know, were provided through with marketing and at our grocery stores that just look so convenient and so happy and easy to use. And sure they are. They're all those things. But, you know, if you take a little bit of initiative and you just get yourself set up and squared away, you can avoid that sort of treadmill of single use and dispose. You know, use it, toss it, use it, toss it. That's not what we want to see. Reuse. So, you know, the classic napkins, cloth napkins. I mean, dish towels. These are the kind of things that you use a dish towel hundreds of times. I mean, you know, dish towels aren't actually that unusual, I would say. But a lot of people do use a paper towel every time, you know, a lot of times when they could just be using a dish towel to wipe something down or something. And so those are just a couple quick ones on single-use alternatives. And then, you know, of course, coffee mugs, you know, water bottles, anything that's a substitution for that single-use item is well worth it.
Absolutely. One really quick thing was that, you know, you mentioned that reusing dish towels is not that unusual. And that's really what we're aiming for. We're aiming for sustained changes. I mean, realistically, all of these things should be the first things that we think about, right? It's just our systems have been built in a way that the convenience has kind of been bred into us, that is a more desirable thing. So all these tips are hopefully, you know, helping us get there. The next thing is kind of sharing stuff. So Pat, you talk a lot about this. So tapping into the sharing economy. So
this is it's an old school carpenter square. It's not mine. It's actually a friend of mine's, and he loaned it to me a while back, but I still plan to give back to him. The point is, I needed you know, and we were working together, and I borrowed it, and I didn't have to go buy it. I didn't, you know, need to get my own because I didn't use it that often. So things like that. Look for those opportunities when, like, oh, I'm doing this one project, or I'm doing this one outing, this recreational outing. I'm going to go camping, or I'm going to go to the beach or whatever. And just, you know, ask a friend, hey, can I borrow your tent? Can I? I mean, just one less item within all these things we have is just well worth it. And yeah, I was just looking online at, you know, renting an RV for a weekend, a motor van, because the idea is I'm not going to buy one, first of all, but the idea of like that has come up. The sharing economy is getting stronger, and all the kind of, you know, coordination with the online interface and platforms is really handy. So look for those, you know, used items to purchase if you really want to own something. Then buy me once kind of thing. But also just the sharing economy idea.
Totally. And we've got a really great network of tool libraries. If you don't have friends or in your neighborhood or acquaintances in your community right now that you feel like you can reach out to, we'll definitely put links to all the tool libraries. Those are fantastic. Everything from carpenter squares to cider presses to weed eaters to kind of anything you can think of. Sewing machines, you can borrow all kinds of stuff from them, which is fantastic. So
those are great programs.
Those are really awesome. So kind of also in the buying less category is downsizing and donating. You know, I think that everybody's been home so much that now we realize how much stuff we have and kind of how much pressure that puts on us. And we really want that space back. And so, you know, we talk a lot about donating things, sharing them with other people in your neighborhoods. If you're online, going through buy nothing groups, that is just so great. And definitely life is easier with less stuff. At my house, it is like perpetual pickup time because we got so many things at my house that if I could have just a few less, it would be so much better. And then you're not consuming any more things and it's just easier to deal with. And that material can go and get passed on to somebody who might be looking for that exact thing.
Exactly. And there's no joke about the joy, you know, the joy of reducing your kind of all the stuff you're living amongst. The book by Marie Kondo, the joy of, you know, living more simply or something like that, I forget what it was called. But you know, it's a true story. I mean, you look through your things and the things you really like, really enjoy. Hold on to those, of course. But for the things that you're not using, you know, they're not bringing any value to you. You just part with those, give them to thrift stores or other reusable folks, and you know, someone else will then take those on and make those part of their joyful path, you know, what have you. So I think it is. It's reuse, definitely. Thrift is a good option.
And so one thing I wanted to have in kind of the buy less category as we transition to the next one, which is conscious consumption, share my favorite piece of like used clothing, my new to you, puffy down hooded vest that I got at the Goodwill bins for those of you savvy thrifters out there. I got this probably about 10 years ago for probably about $1.25. And I have loved it, used it. It's still in great shape. It has torn a little bit. I have repaired pieces of it. But new to you, I mean, I can't even find one like this anymore. So I just have to say, I'm always encouraging you guys. New to you stuff is fantastic. So definitely shop used, shop new to you, shop thrift, shop secondhand. It's really, really the way to go.
Hand-me-downs. I mean, I was raised in a hand-me-down household. So we are, you value when it's new to you. Hey, it is new. It is like, hey, I have not had this before. This is great. I want to try it out. I'm going to wear it all the time. So those are the things. I mean, you definitely, sounds like you got a good one there. And
I do.
Every time you put it on, you get that little spark, that little sensation.
I know. And actually that's kind of one more thing. Speaking of hand-me-downs, I don't know if any of you guys out there have children, but man, I have found like so many community connections through other parents and families who have clothing or items to share with me for my kids to use. It has just been not only really, really great to just save the money on that too, and then pass them on to other folks, but just that feeling of connecting with someone and feeling like, you know, especially when I was a new parent, like that kind of very like, oh my God, what am I doing? Very isolating feeling. That sense of community you get when you were sharing things is really another great benefit that really helps kind of, you know, be like, wow, this is really awesome.
Yeah, I remember when my son was in Little League, I remember there was a used cleat, you know, cleat trade, cleat exchange or something like that for gloves and cleats and bats. And, you know, because there's sizes, they grow out of these things. And so, but perfectly, I mean, only used 1 or 2 seasons and there's nothing. So there was a pretty healthy exchange of sporting goods going on when he was younger. But,
my kids too.
I'm sure it's still out there too.
Oh, yeah.
So, good.
So the second category we had, and we're kind of already talking about that a little bit, is conscious consumption. Right. And I really like this term because it's just being aware. Like we do have to consume things. It would be great if you never had to buy anything or you never had to use anything, but that's just not practical. So when you are in that space, you know, buying things to last and buying things once, kind of that concept of things of like, if you are going to have something, like buy something that's quality and something that's really durable. And I mean, you know, I'll call myself out. I'm pretty thrifty. I'm pretty cheap. We'll just say that right out.
Right. Well, that's the other end. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not afraid of that. But buying something that's good and is going to last is fantastic. I know that, you know, I can speak for myself as a woman. Like, I feel like the fashion industry is targeting me to buy items every 6 months or less, right? They want me to buy like cheaply made fast fashion clothes that I'm going to throw away because they don't even last to hand them on to somebody else. So thinking about what I'm going to buy and buying something that's super quality that I'm going to have for a long time is a really important thing to think about.
I think that's great. I think also that idea of finding the product that is from a company that is, you know, makes choices, takes initiative to do the right thing in certain categories. You can spend your time looking at that too. There are a lot of sustainably minded corporations out there that are making their steps in their lane. They're making their product for their customers, but they're doing it with, you know, the right feedstock or the right, you know, labor practices or whatever your thing is, whatever piques your interest. You can look for, like, should I buy product A or B? And then you kind of judge which companies may be the ones that is doing the things that you want to see done. Absolutely. And then recycle content is another thing. Not everything can have recycled content. Some things are made, you know, without feedstocks that are of a recycle kind of stream commodity. But when you can find those products, you know, try and do that, because then you're closing the loop. You know, then you're taking that technical material that was collected, recycled, and then put back into the production space, and it comes back as a product again. That's what you want to. We want to do that. We want to encourage companies to buy the recycled commodities.
Absolutely.
And you know, to the extent that, you know, the products that you're buying have that. Do you have a little You do. You have a little sample for
this
us.
is part of, what one of our coworkers calls the mess kit. And I love that term, borrowing from the Scouts. And this is, like a plastic picnic plate. And I don't know if it's going to show up well, but it is made by a company called Replay. And these are made out of HDPE. So #2 plastic resin. This is what your milk bottles are made out of. We've had these plates for a very long time. They're super durable. Even my children cannot break them. And so it's great. Like, we use them. I put them in the car. I put them in backpacks. We use them at home for snacks. And this is exactly it. Like, you want to buy a product. I'm trying to buy an unbreakable dish. I'm going to buy one that's made out of a recycled material. So I wanted to take a minute really quickly, Pat. One of our viewers here said that they made a commitment this year to not buying any clothes for a full year, which has been a really interesting experience, but they've gotten some really good finds on buy nothing. I think that's another really good way to set a goal for yourself, to focus on maybe one thing that makes it reasonable. So this last year was the year definitely to accomplish that goal. Pretty easy when you're in your pajamas every day. But anyway, not everybody is, at home, though. A lot of folks are out working still, doing the, frontline employees and such. And so there's a lot of things you can do in that space. You can you just reuse what you have and just commit to trying to find products at thrift stores, or sometimes it's like buy nothing. Doesn't need to be not buying anything. It means not buying anything new, not a brand new product. So that's another way. It's like a half measure. You don't have to commit to not buying anything. You can get something new to you. Absolutely. But it's good. Good effort. Good on that. It's a good way to do it. I'm with you. My commitment was to buy less clothes. So I'm going to definitely keep that going until next year, and well into the future. I realize I just need to do less laundry too. So another bonus.
That's a good one. Laundry. I mean, that's one thing I've gotten more. I'm trying to get better at is figuring out just how long can I wear this shirt before I need to wash it. So my wife helps me with that, by the way. Yeah, that one's right.
It's good to have people in your life that will help you with that.
That's right. But I'm just saying that, laundry, washer and dryer, those are huge energy users in your household. People know the dryer uses a lot of energy, but it's the hot water in the washer that pulls a lot of juice too. So the clothesline, it's been beautiful out this week, and it's a great week to put the clothes on the line rather than running to the dryer. I mean, you get that fresh smell and everything. So if you don't have a clothesline, that could be a short, quick, just go buy a clothesline and or get some rope, whatever.
I did that last week. I'm with you, Pat. It was actually really great. The UV light removes a lot of the stains on things.
That's right.
So
fresh removes odors too. So that's good.
It's true. It's good. So our bread and butter, our third category is recycle right and compost right. We talk about that a lot, with recycle right, empty, clean, and dry, people. All of you guys watching this show, you guys know. But keeping that up, that really helps make it so the feedstocks that are being purchased to put into recycled content materials are good to go. So that's really a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. And we're trying to, hone the message down to some quicker, easier to identify lists of products at times. We have some materials printed nowadays. We just, Socorro sent some out to the multifamily customer set, the top 5 items to recycle. So that's the other thing, is like really being really good, really diligent about recycling all the things that can be recycled and then making sure they're clean, empty, clean, and dry. Absolutely.
And for composting right, really it's food in, plastic out, whether it's stickers, rubber band ties, plastic bags, all of those things. That really, really helps. I mean, that is being cycled. Those nutrients are being cycled right back into the ground. Next month, we're going to hopefully have one of our colleagues on who is all about soils. And, part of composting and maintaining soils is really a huge, huge benefit for carbon sequestration. So we'll do more about that later. So making sure you compost right. But Pat, you got something. You
mentioned vegetable ties, and this is like, I don't know how I'm going to reuse this, but this is a broccoli rubber band. And you guys, this is like, it is so strong and so thick. I have to find a use for it. I don't know what I'm going to bundle with this rubber band, but I couldn't toss it. And it's got this durable, unrippable plastic placard, it says broccoli on it. It's great. It's a one and done thing, but it'll last. It can last forever. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
It might.
I also think I might, send them a note and say, this is part of the advocacy thing, getting a little ahead of ourselves. But the idea of like, do they really need this durable of a device? I mean, it used to be broccoli was just twist tied with a little paper coated metal twist tie, which would break down much easier, even in a compost system. Although we're not suggesting people put their twist ties in compost. If it was a paper coated metal twist tie, it wouldn't necessarily be a problem. This is going to be a problem. I mean, if people leave this on the stalk of their broccoli and toss it in. So don't leave this on the stalk of your broccoli, people. Make sure you take this and try and reuse it. It's very strong, but otherwise it's garbage.
Totally. Food in, compost out. Or food in,
plastic
out. Food in, plastic out. So, and then the last thing you're talking about, which is great, Pat. I mean, you work with the commercial sector and all these different businesses. So this is more kind of in your lane, but I think this is something that I certainly have adopted more as I've not only been in this field, but also just in general. I mean, this year has taught us that we all have voices, and now is the time to use them for things that we believe in. Yeah. And so advocacy is a really, really great thing for all of you guys to do out there. And especially in the solid waste space, 2 organizations that I use to kind of track what is happening as far as bills in the state legislature is Zero Waste Washington, and then the Northwest Product Stewardship Council. So we've talked a lot about kind of different rules that are in front of the legislature, like advocating for more recycled content in materials. They also have like a statewide plastic bag ban, Pat, that I know that you are involved in as well. But it really takes all of us, right? Not just businesses, not just industry folks. It takes individual consumers to really help move that forward.
Yeah, right? Like anything, it's great having these passionate persons that are committed to the cause, that are working in the space every day, keeping the organization going, working with the elected politicians and folks to, policymakers to make sure that progress is made. But, everybody can take a little bit of time in their own way to either just read the newsletter, scan the website, sign up for the emails, donate, support, testify. I mean, there's all kind of letter writing. There's all kinds of ways one can be involved in the space of advocacy. But I think we're right now from a solid waste perspective, we've got some new things on the books just coming online. I think the governor's due to sign the new statewide law this week. He already signed the bill for the bag requirements for the state. So there's a lot of new things that are going to come into like the space of consumerism that people are going to, now it's going to be less of an impact in a lot of different ways. So it's good, but it doesn't happen without, the support and the advocacy and somebody standing up to make the voice, heard in the moment. So everybody looking for their way to be engaged and participate is a good, it is Earth Day. That's why we're going through this laundry list of things. It's Earth Day. It's the one time a year when we get to say, okay, let's take stock. What are the things we can do? What are the things that, have been done and what we hope to do moving forward? And I think it's, it's for each person to figure out what their role is in that path, because it's all, Earth Day was Earth Day and it was all about recycling and maybe plant a tree or something like that. Now I think everybody understands it's about climate change. It's a bigger issue that is connected to everything. I mean, it's from transportation to materials and consumption and housing, and it's interconnected. And I think it's important that people be thoughtful about their choices, and because it all adds up one way or the other.
Absolutely. And we've definitely talked about this before, is that we just have a lot of stuff that we just laid down in front of you guys, and take what works for you, practice it. It's 2 things. It's being able to start small and do something and keep that energy going, and then 2, it's really raising your awareness to how you interact and how you interact with your world and how that impacts the environment. That awareness is incredibly huge. And all of the things we talked about today, I mean, living through this pandemic that is hopefully going to be reaching some kind of end within this calendar year, has taught us that awareness and that impact is so incredibly important. And with that, don't feel guilty. No, that's not what this is about. Yeah. This is about finding something that works for you, that you can stick with, that is meaningful to you. And whatever that motivation is, tap into that and then hold on to that and have that help you keep that behavior and change going. So
I totally agree. I think everything we've said is we're just presenting options for folks. We're just giving people, trying to bring awareness to certain opportunities, and to the extent that they make choices. It's like recycling. Everything, is in someone's hand at a moment. There's a moment when they can choose which bin to put it in, and that's how the whole industry adds up. It's a combination of a million little moments every week, every day in Seattle and King County that create our recycle program for our region. And so it takes everybody. It's pretty cool.
So I hope that you guys found some hopeful tips and tricks. If it's not from this list, it got your brain thinking about some things that might work for you in your life. Quick recap. So the 4 kind of groups that kind of help me think about it is there's buying less, there's conscious consumption, there is
recycle right
and compost right, and advocacy. So
right.
One of those 4 things might help you kind of get the creative juices flowing. And however you celebrate Earth Day, know that we are celebrating it with you and that we are all in this together. So thank you for raising your awareness and making some choices, because it's not easy. So,
and I have one more little item to show and tell.
Oh yes,
it's the SPU bingo card.
Yes.
I know it's backwards there, you guys.
That's okay.
But we'll have a link on the show notes, and the SPU bingo card is just a great bunch of little activities and things you can do as a Seattle area person to click on one of the bingo squares and play the game a little bit, and you get free prizes as well, and you can find out more information about different activities and things you can do.
Absolutely. And it's not just for you waste nerds, so we're a part of it. There's also...
No, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So it'll be pretty fun. So definitely go and check it out. And links to all of the things that we've talked about will be in the show notes. So definitely check that out, because it'll be nice and convenient. So we hope to see you turning in your bingo cards and playing along with us. All right, folks. Well, thank you. This was a really lovely discussion, Pat. It's always fun. I mean, this has been a year. Literally, it's been a year.
I know.
So it's so much fun to talk to everybody about this. And we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. It's fantastic. And sending us your questions and your comments. So great to hear from you. It's a good way to be connected. So with that, we will see you next week. Happy Earth Day tomorrow for those of you who are watching live. And for those of you who are watching later, we hope you found a really great way to celebrate. So with that, I'm Becca Fong. And remember, life's simpler with less stuff.
Hey, and I'm Pat Kaufman. Remember to recycle right. I'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.